Hi, my name's Katie with Modern Textiles, and today I'm going to show you what strip piecing is. So you may have come across in some of the patterns, whether it's mine or anyone else's out there, that calls for you to strip piece, which typically means you will cut certain widths of your fabric and just leave them in their whole width of fabric. Or maybe even if you have a fat quarter, it'll be just your 22 inches long of your fabric. And what that means is when you go to piece your blocks, or part of the block construction is that you will take, say, one strip of fabric like this one here from Ruby Star Society, and this one's going to be a Bella Solid Christmas green, I believe it is, and you'll just sew along that long edge of your fabric. You'll sew with your 1/4 inch seam or whatever's called out on the pattern, and then you'll do the same on the other end. And then you'll press that open, and then from there you'll cut sections of that block. It just saves time in the piecing of certain blocks, and especially if you have the same block that's repetitive, it'll make the block construction come together a lot quicker, or maybe even the assembly of your quilt top to come together. So let's join in. I'm going to go ahead and sew these two green pieces onto the outside of the red. I'm making a holiday quilt right now, which is the Nordic Nook quilt from Toad & Sew. So this is just one portion of the quilt there, and it is a very heavy strip piece quilt, so I thought why not show you what it looks like to strip piece together some blocks. I just remembered one tip I want to point out when you are strip piecing. So these are pretty large pieces that I'm not too worried about, but if you are strip piecing jelly roll strips, I do recommend that you alternate which edge you start on when you're sewing. So that way, if you start doing, say, 6 jelly roll strips, one after another, if you were to start from, say, the non-selvage end every single time, you might start to see a bow in your strip piecing. So if you alternate from, say, the non-selvage to the selvage end of which one you're starting on every other row, that's going to help keep that from occurring, and it'll keep your strip piecing straight. All right, now that I have my strips pieced and I've gone ahead and pressed my seams in, I actually took a look through the pattern and made sure that I was pressing properly so that everything could nest. I'm going to go ahead and start just trimming what I need for these blocks. So because it's not my pattern, I'm not going to give you the dimensions that I'm operating from. All right, so the first thing I like to do is make sure that my strip is lined up on one of the grid lines of my cutting mat, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim off this end because this has the manufactured end of the fabric. So I have a nice clean starting spot, and then I'm going to go ahead and start trimming the required pieces that I need for this quilt. It would be nice. And so this is going to be what strip piecing looks like. So you'll end up with your pieces just like that, and then you'll end up sewing them into your quilt block or your quilt top as called out in the pattern. In the next video, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I like to machine bind my quilts.